yo soy Pedro. Yo trabajo en Lingopie. I've been working in Lingopie. It's been like almost 2 years. So I'm gonna try to speak a bit Spanish and adding some English for everyone. I don't know what's your level here, but we're trying to push everyone here to get like have more Spanish touch. By the way, I'm from Brazil. Naturally, I'm speak Portuguese, my first language. Spanish and English I learned over the years. I'm glad to be with you today, with Marcos as well. He's like the Spanish teacher. He's like the real Spanish teacher. I'm only the host here. I'll be here with everyone. Hey, Marcos, would like to say something?
Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? I am Marcos. I will be your Spanish teacher for this lesson and the next one on next Monday. For today's lesson, I've prepared a really easy topic because I want to focus in chat with you all, and you can all interact and share common experiences learning this language. Okay.
And today,
a little bit of a dialect in Argentina. Amarillo.
yes. Well, the first, I'd like to like a presentation of everyone here. So write in the chat where you're connecting from and what you're currently watching on Lingopie. We really want to know from everyone here. So we have the Ohio, USA, amazing. Miami, okay, I'm super cool. Berlin, Germany, amazing. I'm from Brazil. I'm gonna add here. California, Little Rock, Oaxaca, Mexico, super cool. Ukraine, okay. I watched A Matter of Tea as well last week. Well, it's super nice. I hope everyone here had the possibility to watch as well, because it's a super interesting content. I don't want to give spoilers, but it's super nice. Amazing. We have a lot of people here. We are in 23. Super nice. So I'm gonna skip for the next. Hey guys, who watched Cuestión de Té? A Matter of Tea. Hopefully everyone. Did you?
I did.
You did?
I did.
What's your thoughts? Please, I'd like to understand if you like it, if you love it. I don't think there's another. We can't rate less than that because it's super interesting. Short movie. It's very touch, emotional as well.
Loved it.
Amazing. So, Cuestión de Té is like we have like a briefing here. It's just like innocent children's game makes 7-year-old Mateo discover that not everything is what it seems. The adult world can be as artificial as a fantasy. So if you watch this show, Mark can tell better than I. But it's a fantasy between like kids discovering, finding out the adulthood. People lying. that's the tough part, like being children. You discover like your parents, someone that you are very close can lie, and perhaps they want to do this to protect you, or because they are liars. We never know. But it's a very interesting show that we are putting here, and that Mark chose for you. So let's see, before we start the grammar class, I'm gonna put like a 2-minute scene. So one of the most beautiful in the show that I like to everyone here watch these 2 minutes. Let's time to up 1 second. So here, can you see my screen?
Sí, se ve.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's the minute 7:30 until the minute 9:30. So please tell me if the sounds good as well. Can you listen?
No, no se
No se
escucha.
puede, no se escucha. Ok. Yo sé que puedo hacer aquí. Share sound, that's important. Yo vuelvo aquí.
Ah,
Ahí.
beautiful.
Ahí,
Bien.
perfecto.
¡Epa! ¿No mira para adelante usted? Me imagino que tendrá seguro, ¿no? Hola.
¿Estás bien?
Hola, mi amor. Sí. Decime. Sí. Pan. Termino la reunión y voy. Bien, un beso. ¿Qué?
Nela.
Sí, ya sabes.
Hola, señor, ¿qué le trae de visita? Puedo servirle un té si quiere. Ah, no, si se sienta acá tiene que tomar un té. No me gusta el té. Ay, espere que se lo volcó, le sirvo otro. ¿Y usted es de por acá cerca? Parece buena gente, debe ser de por acá cerca. Este es un barrio tranquilo, matrimonios jóvenes y gente de bien.
Buenas tardes. ¿A qué están jugando? Pórtense bien.
¿Conocías a mi papá?
No, no lo conocía.
¿Pasa algo? Nada. Mira su casa. ¿Hace mucho que vive por acá?
That's it. It's a funny end. So hopefully everyone enjoyed this show. It was super nice. The Marcos choice. And now I'm gonna start our Spanish grammar class. So let's go. Marco
Okay.
will be leading here now, and I'll be watching with everyone.
Thanks, Pedro.
You're welcome.
Okay. Did anyone understand the scene that we would just watched? Can anyone tell me what did you see?
In English or Spanish?
If you can in Spanish, try. But if not, there's no problem.
Okay. You want to just say what we think we saw?
Yes, please.
The boy thought he saw a man talking to a girlfriend and with a different girlfriend. He
Mhm.
didn't know who he was talking to, so he thought that he was two-timing his girlfriend. And when he went to have tea with the daughter, he was feeling bad because he thought he had seen betrayal.
Exactly. And then he changed his appearance into a more
Yes,
like
and so did the father,
dollish.
like a doll.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay.
He went artificial, just like the grown-ups that he
Artificial.
was watching. It's a very interesting short film. Okay, so this topic of today's lesson is not actually about the plot that of this particular show, but rather the grammatical tenses that we use all the time for past, present, or future. So what I want to do first before we begin talking about the different conjugations that we have in Spanish is to set the difference between English and Spanish, okay? You know that Spanish is more like a flexible grammatical language instead of English that has more auxiliary words. It's more lexical and has other words to help us change our meaning, right? If I say, for example, I take care of my dogs, then I'm talking in present about something that I do that happens in reality. And just with the addition of the word good, right, or could, like I would take care of my dogs, then I'm setting up a condition, something that doesn't happen in reality. How would I do that in Spanish, right? I can say, yo cuido a mis perros, I take care of my dogs, or yo cuidaría a mis perros, right? Just with a change of letters and sounds, then I am changing the whole meaning without adding up more words, just like English, okay? So we have up to 5 or 6 different conjugations that gives us info about the person and number of our actions, okay? I've just picked some regular verbs, so this is not a really long lesson that could be extended to more than 1 hour. So what I want to do is to talk about present, past, and future. How do we form these types of actions, okay? So for the present, we always have these different sounds or letters at the end of the action to know what we're talking about, okay? If it's singular or plural, if it's me, if it's someone else, or the person that I am talking, okay? We say the first, second, and third person, singular or plural, okay? Does anyone understand me so far? Do you have any questions?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, boss is only singular, but actually we have like a regional difference, more like Argentinians, for like myself, we use vos instead of tú, but they mean the same, and they end with the same conjugation, hablas, tú o vos hablas, okay? So what we can know is like this tip that every time that we see verb or an action that ends with an S, then we know they are talking about the second singular, okay? These are common rules, especially for regular verbs. And if any action or verb ends with an O, then we can know that they are talking about the first person singular, me, okay? Yo hablo, I talk, okay? And so here we have some hints that may help you in case that you're hearing or reading any text or discourse in Spanish, okay? So for the plural, like you or they always end with N, okay? With the letter or sound N. Ellos hablan, ustedes hablan. Ustedes hablan español y hablan inglés. Yo hablo español y yo hablo inglés, okay? So for the we, like the first plural, like all of us, we talk in Spanish, right? Nosotros hablamos en español, and they always have this M, okay? This is how we can recognize that we are talking about first and plural in present, and the other tenses as well, as we will see. Okay, here's a small example that I just write for making it more clear. Okay, ustedes hablan con sus compañeros para compartir experiencias aprendiendo español. Can anyone translate this phrase? Any volunteer?
I can. They speak with their companions to share their experience in learning Spanish.
Bien, very good. The only correction is instead of their is your companions.
You,
okay?
yes,
Your
yes. Yeah.
classmates in this case. Okay. Does anyone have a question so far? Okay.
Can you sorry,
Yeah?
can you just repeat the sentence again one more time?
In English, you
No,
talk.
en español.
Ustedes hablan con sus compañeros para compartir experiencias aprendiendo español. Okay. You talk with your classmates to share experiences learning Spanish. Okay.
Gracias.
And Macy's, here I'm reading your question. I thought usted is for singular. Is vos something regional? Okay, yeah. First of all, vos is something regional. Not all Spanish-speaking countries use the vos. It depends on where you are talking. For example, in Argentinian, we say vos instead of tú. And I think other countries have more or less this usage internalized, not as much as we have, okay? With Argentina and Uruguay, the vos is really fixed and is something that cannot be changed. And usted is actually for singular. That's the difference between usted y ustedes, okay? Bien, for example, when we say he, she, or you in a really formal way, then we say usted habla, okay? Usted is actually very good, the second person singular, but it shares the same conjugation as the third person, okay? Because you cannot say usted hablas, okay? It's just a rule, it's just because. But we have this difference between tú y usted, okay? Usted is a really formal treatment to the other, and tú is more informal and more familiar way to talk to someone else, okay? Tú hablas or usted habla, they mean the same thing. The only difference is that usted is more formal and it shares the same conjugation as the third person, okay? Bien, can we move the slide?
Tengo una pregunta.
Bien,
Yo uso Duolingo para aprender español
sí.
y no vi en Duolingo forma vosotros. Y yo no sé por qué.
That's because vosotros is also regional, the same as vos, and they are only used in Spain. Okay, that's the continental dialect that they use. Vosotros habláis or vosotros usáis. Duolingo may have decided that that form was unnecessary because it's not universal, okay? It's not like you can use vosotros in Mexico or in Argentina or in Colombia, and you will hear the use of vosotros. We use ustedes, okay? That's more universal in Spanish-speaking countries, okay? In Spain, they rather use vosotros, okay? And they have this eyes always in the termination, okay? If you hear someone saying vosotros, then you know that they are from Spain, the country, right? Bien. And here is how we form the past, okay? It has other rules. It's not like the first person singular always ends with O, that's for present. But in this case, the first and the third one, okay, singular, always end with an accent. And this is important because the accent actually can change meaning, okay? As for Spanish language and from French language, the accent can change the meaning. The French is more complex than Spanish in this case, but what I want to focus is that for the past tense, we use this accent when we finish the expression of this action. Yo hablé o ayer hablé con mi mamá sobre sus vacaciones. If I don't have this accent, then the meaning is other one. It's the subjunctive mode, the irreal, right? Like, for example, que yo hable con mi mamá is like, if I talk to my mom, that's not the past, that's the conditional, okay? And just the accent can change the meaning from the indicative past to the subjunctive present, okay? So it's important that we mark the tone when we finish the action. Ayer hablé con mi mamá, o ella habló conmigo por teléfono, okay? Can someone translate to me these two phrases? Any volunteer?
I can. Yesterday I spoke with my mom about her vacations.
Yeah.
She spoke with me by the telephone.
Muy bien.
She spoke with me by the telephone. Yeah.
Okay. Can anyone see some regularity? You know that in present, we always end for first person, right? For yo hablo, I talk, or I speak. They always end with O. But in the past, this O goes to the third person instead of the first one, but with the accent, okay? Yo hablo con mi mamá por teléfono. I speak with my mother by the telephone. She talked with me by the telephone. She spoke with me by the telephone, okay? So here we have a switch between the first and the third person singular. How can we realize if it's the first or the third? Because sometimes Spanish doesn't have any subject to it. It's more like implicit, okay? Here we can notice that it's the past or the present by the usage of this accent, okay? And for the plural, they don't really change too much, okay? For example, hablamos, they share the same conjugation with present. Nosotros hablamos, we speak. Nosotros hablamos, we spoke, okay? They have the same conjugation, okay? How can we set the difference between the past and present for first plural? Well, by context. We can see that they use the word ayer, or they have some adverbs that maybe can helps us figure out the time. And for the rest of the conjugations, you can see some words or some letters or some sounds that can help us understand which tense they are talking about, okay? For example, for ellos, ellas, o ustedes, they share the same conjugation, they and you in plural, they share that they always end with ene, okay? That's the grammatical information. Plural for second and third person. And the past is different from present because of this addition of the syllable RO, okay? Ellos hablan, they speak. Ellos hablaron, they spoke, okay? Can we see the next slide, please?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have the two grammatical boards to compare. Okay, can anyone see what I just talked recently? That, for example, for present that ends with O in the first person, in the past, that switched with the third one. The uses of accents, the uses of, for example, S for the second person singular, and the uses of N, okay? Here is a common way, a quick way to notice the person, the number, and the tense of any regular action. We can see that there are some irregular verbs that they have other rules, okay? But most verbs or actions in Spanish share this common conjugations if they have this termination in AR, okay? Because we have 3 different terminations for regular verbs. That's for ar, for and for ir, okay? For example, in this case, hablar, hablar, and the other examples could be comer y vivir, okay? I talk, I eat, and I live, okay? If I want to say in present for I eat or I live, then I would say yo como, yo vivo, tú comes, tú vives, ella come, ella vive, nosotros comemos. Okay, so you can see that there are some regularities. This use of M for first plural, this use of O for first singular, this S, okay? So these are hints that you can maybe go como internalizing, and maybe they can help you understand when you hear the terminations of some actions, and you can realize who are they talking about, or what's the who are making a reference in this case, okay? And for the future, we have other ways of expressing it, of how do we form future. Before, like 20, 30 years ago, we have like the simple future, which only has one word. But now we have another way that it's pretty much more common, and you can hear it everywhere. So in Spain and in Latin America, you can see that this formula always makes a reference to the future. The same way as the English language has its own formula, which is going to, okay? So I can say, I am going to read a book tonight, okay? Voy a leer un libro esta noche. So you can translate the same formula to Spanish. Can anyone translate to me this phrase that is above, that hasn't talked yet?
I can.
Okay, Rowan?
I'm going to go grocery shopping tomorrow.
Very good. Okay, so you have the same formula. I am going to. And the difference is that you use the ing. In this case, what we use is the form of the verb ir, to go, in present, adding this preposition and this infinitive verb that has the meaning, okay? We have the auxiliary and the auxiliary. Voy, which is I go, or I'm going to, and then the action that I'm going to do, that is expressed in the future. This is how we express it. I forgot about the vosotros, but in this case would be vais. Vais a hacer las compras mañana, for example. Can anyone give me an example about your daily life using this verbal phrase for expressing future?
Yo voy a ir mirar una película.
Muy bien, yo voy a ir a mirar una película. It's like I'm going to go watch a movie, okay? La semana que viene voy a volver al dentista. Okay, very good. You're using a lot of different actions at the same time, which is very good because it's grammatically correct. We are expressing the future and also the meaning attached. I am going to come back to see the dentist, okay? We have going to, see, and then come back, and other actions as well. Very good example, Henny. Bien, can we see the next slide, please? Okay, here we have some 10 exercises. I want that everyone does at least one. Does anyone want to start with the first one?
I will. Yo como una pizza ahora mismo.
Muy bien, Paula. O Marisa. I don't know who said it. Okay, bien. Bien. Anyone wants to do the second one? Marisa.
Ella va a hablar. ¿No?
Habló.
Va a
In this case,
hablar con su amigo ayer por la tarde.
Okay, Masis,
Ella
what did you
habló.
say?
Habló. Ella habló con su amigo ayer.
Bien. This is the past. Pretérito and pasado means the same thing, okay? Ayer por la tarde. This is the temporary adverb that can help us understand which time they are making a reference, okay? Ella habló con su amigo ayer por la tarde. She spoke with her friend yesterday afternoon, in the afternoon. Okay. Number 3, in this case, it's future, okay?
Nosotros viajamos a Europa el próximo año. We are going to Europe next year.
Okay, you forgot about travel, the word viajar.
Oh.
You have going to viajar, okay? Do it again.
Nosotros vamos a Europa el próximo año.
Okay, so here's a hard one because when we say we're going to Europe next year, then we're already implying the future and we don't actually need the use of viajar. But the literal expression says we are going to travel to Europe next year. Nosotros vamos a viajar, okay? Vamos, the auxiliary, a, the preposition, and viajar, the meaning, okay? It could be, nosotros vamos a, I don't know, estudiar historia europea el próximo año. We're going to study European history next year, if we were talking about, I don't know, a career, for example. Okay, for sentence number 4. Does anyone want to do it?
Tú estudias mucho para tus exámenes.
Bien, tú estudias mucho with uses of S, okay? Very good. And the meaning?
You study much for your exam.
Very good. Okay, number 5.
Ellos van a ir al cine mañana.
Muy bien, Melinda. In this case, we're repeating go, right? It's like they're going to go, right? Bien. The next one, the number is 6. In future.
Él va a trabajar en una empresa nueva en el año que viene.
Muy bien. Can you figure out the meaning of this phrase?
He's going to work in the new company the next year.
Muy bien, Urlana. Okay, for number 7, in present.
Yo leo un libro interesante en este momento.
Muy bien. Okay, yo leo. Okay, it's
yeah.
always we use the O for the present. Bien, number 8. This is the past. Pretérito simple always means the past.
Ustedes bailan en la fiesta de cumpleaños de su amigo el año pasado.
Okay, in
Ustedes
this case,
bailando.
present. How do you form the past? It's correct, you use N, but you have to change the action into the past. Bailan, it's
Bailando.
Dance. And
Bailando.
It's bailaron. Bailaron.
Sí,
bailando means dancing. Okay, this ing has other meaning that we're not discussing today, but it's actually more like a temporary process that is currently happening. I am dancing, right? But in this case, when we're making a reference to the past, it's something that they did and doesn't happen anymore. Okay, they danced in the party, in the birthday party of her friend. Okay. Bien, the last one. Nosotros una casa en la playa el año pasado.
Now is the-
Nosotros compramos una casa en la playa el año pasado.
Muy bien. In this case, they share the same conjugation. We can say, nosotros compramos una casa en la playa ahora mismo, right? And they have different meaning. We are buying a house right now, and we bought a house, a beach house last year, okay? They have the same action, and we need some other words or adverbs to help us figure out the meaning, okay? So I made some screenshots of the short film in case of anyone wants to translate or discuss what we just talked about the different conjugations, and maybe figure out what they are saying, okay? In this case, can anyone translate for me this example? Okay, Marisa.
Yes, are we going to make a feast or not going to make a feast?
Okay, bien. Make a feast, celebrate.
I don't know, I'm more
party.
French, so I don't know how you say it in English. But...
Are we going to celebrate or not? Bien, muy bien. They have different meanings, festejar. It comes from fiesta, from party, okay? And they're talking about their anniversary, I think. Bien. So, the next slide. Okay. Does anyone understand which action is it appears here, and what's the tense? I mean, the time that they are talking.
It's
Past tense.
past tense.
Bien. And what it says here? What's the caption?
Did you already meet Macarena?
Bien. Did you already meet Macarena? The past, it's implied in conociste, okay? If it's in the present, how would we say it?
¿Conoces a Macarena?
Conozco.
Conozco is I know, or I meet. In this case, we're talking about you, conoces. ¿Tú conoces a Macarena? Do you know Macarena? Bien, muy bien. ¿O ya conoces a Macarena? Very good. Okay, the next one. Okay, in this case, I added the English captions because this was supposed to go for the next webinar, which is the guided conversation. And we would be talking about the plot about this short film, okay? And here we have some other verbs, which is the verb to be, ser. Does anyone already know how we conjugate ser in Spanish?
Sí.
Un poquito.
Can you try?
Yeah. Yes. Soy, eres,
Bien.
es, somos, sois, and son.
Muy bien. Son for ustedes and for ellos, okay? Sois is for vosotros, which is how Spanish say it, how Spaniards say it. Very good. And it's an irregular verb, so that's why it doesn't have the same rules as we just saw, okay? Bien, ahí vamos a jugar. Okay, next slide. Okay, tomamos el té. Okay, so in this case, tomamos el té, it's first plural, right? From we drink tea. But it's actually in a different mode that we are not learning right now, the subjunctive, which goes after this that, okay? In every sentence or every text or every time that you hear someone saying que, and then they say an action, you have to realize that they are not using the indicative mode and they have other types of conjugations, okay? Bien, the next one, please. Okay, here we have another action. Do you know what verb is there?
Hacer.
No, because hacer is to do, right? Very good, Jenny. Haber.
Haber.
Does anyone know the conjugation of haber? Here we have just an example, which is I. It doesn't have much conjugations as well. It's like there is or there isn't, I or no I, okay? E-as-a-m-s-a-s. Okay, bien. What just Henny wrote in the chat is how we combine this action, which is haber, with other word, with other verb to form the present perfect. Yo he ido, for example. I have gone, or yo he sido. I have been, right? We use this verb for the auxiliary, which has the information, the grammatical information, as we talked about, which gives us the person and the number. And then we have the meaning, okay? Bien. The next one, please. Okay, here we have something that we just that we talked in previous webinars, which is tener que. Okay, this is how we form obligations or responsibilities. We have to, or we must. Okay, in Spanish we say tener que. Okay, so it has an accent because it's a command, it's an order. And in this case, when we are using the imperative instead of indicative, we use the accent to emphasize on we are ordering someone to do anything, okay? Tenés que hacer de cuenta que es de verdad. You have to pretend it's for real. Hacer de cuenta, in this case, it's a verbal phrase that can be translated to pretend, just pretend, like fingir, okay? Or fake, hacer de cuenta. It's like an implied pact of, okay, we are drinking tea, but we are actually don't drinking tea. And that's actually what the main premise of this short film is talking about. Something that it's real or something that it's unreal, but we pretend like it's actually happening. Like, for example, a good marriage in the case of these both kids' parents, okay? The next one, please. Así hacemos como los grandes, pretending. That's what the grown-ups do. That's why I wanted to use these slides for the next webinar and discuss a little more about these fakings or this pretending between the parents and their kids, okay? Here we have hacer. Does anyone know how to conjugate hacer? This actually means do or make. It's an irregular verb. Does anyone know it?
Yes.
Okay, Ruslana.
Hago,
Bien.
tú haces, hace, hacemos y hacen. Yo no sé vosotros.
For
Yo no
vosotros,
sé.
it could be ace. They always end with ace or ice. It's really medieval. It's like the kind of poetry.
Hacéis.
Hacéis, right. Vosotros hacéis como los grandes. Very good. Henny just wrote down for you. Okay, bien. The next one, I think we finish here. Okay, so Pedro, I will give the voice to you after some feedback from you students. What did you think about this topic? Did you like it? It was helpful to you? Did anyone already know it and it was just a waste of time? Tell me your insights, please.
Please, everyone, don't be shy.
It was nice to review. It's nice to review.
Actually, you're right. That's why I wanted to do it, because I have students that are actually intermediate and they sometimes they get confused between the first or third person. So it's important to make a rehearsal in these common topics that are actually the first lessons that we have in the lingo lessons. Okay, so thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, I think that's it. Let me check something here. So thank you, everyone. I should be here. It was like a pleasure to have Marco like ministering the class. I'd like to invite everyone for the next class next month. I think next Monday is like a speaking class. So, well, we're going to split the room. I don't know if everyone knows how it works. So we're going to split the room in 3. And there's going to be questions. So we can discuss the show. We're going to split in break the rooms in beginners, intermediate, and advanced. It's going to be super nice. I highly recommend everyone should join the classroom. Just access community here .com. I can show you everyone where you can go to see. So 1 second. So there's the forum here. And you can check all the events, Lingopie events, and the coming soon events. For example, we don't have like for the next week, but stay tuned. But it's gonna happen, the conversation class next week. Also, we have our classes, 101 classes that I highly recommend everyone to pick a teacher and go in deep in your learning, like Spanish, I don't know, French. We have all the languages that we offer. We have like a teacher, a tutor. And hopefully everyone had an amazing time today. And on my side, I want to see everyone like next week enjoying and speaking a lot and training your Spanish skills. That's it.
Muchas gracias. Buenos días.
De nada. Gracias a todos.
Gracias a ustedes.
Gracias, Marco.
Muchas gracias.
Me encantó.
Nos vemos la semana que viene.
Nos vemos la semana que viene. Chao.